people, today I'm going to be doing a review for the new episode of WandaVision Season 1, Episode 4. Overall, this review is going to sound very vague because I need to know more to validate my opinion. I probably won't know my 100% opinion on this episode until we get on the show as a whole, until we get to like the last 2 or 3 episodes. Overall, I can tell you for sure that I like it, but I just don't know where the show's going yet. Well, I know where it's going, but I don't know. Of course, the execution that is what matters. But I have 2 problems with this episode. I'll just get it out of the way. I think it could have used more Wanda and Vision because that's what the show's about. Of course, full spoilers by the way. Throughout the episode, of course, it's mostly takes place in a regular timeline, and so there's very little Wanda and Vision. But I feel like they could have kind of made it 2 episodes, half WandaVision and half this science breakdown, because this episode it wasn't as visually interesting as the previous episodes. The previous episodes were like, oh, let's break this down, but this episode was, okay, we're gonna break it down for you now, and which I'm fine with, but I felt like they could have struck a balance there, and we just didn't really ever get that. I don't want to say bland Marvel content this episode, but it was it kind of was. And I don't hate this episode. I really don't hate this episode. In fact, I like it. I like it more than the first episode. I think 2 and 3 still beats this episode, but it's just not as visually interesting to look at, because instead of us trying to break down stuff that's going on in this episode, it's more of they're breaking down other stuff from other episodes, which we kind of ourselves as fans broke down already, and I guess that is a side effect of the weekly release, and I don't blame the show for that. It just wasn't as interesting as the other ones for me. Let's get into what I really did like. The opening scene, where everyone's just reassembling from when Hulk snapped and brought everyone back. That was my favorite scene of the whole show, because it was something I never thought I would see in the Marvel universe, and they gave it to us, and I was really curious about, like, how did they reassemble? And it was so I know I said it's not as visually interesting. It's the most visually as interesting thing in this episode, and it definitely floored me. It got me really hyped up for the rest of the show. And will say I really did like this episode. I know I said it's not. I really loved the other episodes too. So me saying it's not on par with them isn't saying much, because I loved the other episodes as well. Like I said, even though I did criticize it for breaking down stuff we already knew, I really like the way that they broke it down for us, how they go through each person, identify them, and how they ask the same questions as we do, and know that we're not going crazy as fans. And that was it was all very, very interesting. I was really concerned about the magic guy from Ant-Man and the Wasp and Darcy. I don't care for any one of their characters before this, and I liked them this episode. I didn't hate them like I did before. And if they're consistent like this, maybe I'll end up liking their characters by the end of the show. Who knows? But like I said, they weren't annoying, and I didn't hate their characters this time, and that's all they needed to do for me. I love seeing the other side and how they interpreted things like us fans did, and it's really cool to almost see the parallel of us fans versus S.W.O.R.D. It's almost like us as fans could work for them ourselves, and maybe the fans would do a better job. Because, heck, fans knew what was going on when we even had the trailer. But, it was really interesting seeing the other side and seeing them break it down as well. This episode just went by fast. It was constantly throwing stuff at you, that new information that we kind of thought already, but it was still nice to hear it confirmed. But like I said, I wish we could have had more Wanda and Vision in the background, because we really don't get any new footage of them until the last scene, and so it felt. Here's the thing: it confirmed all the stuff that we were thinking was going on, but it was Here's the thing: we already kind of had that idea anyways, and so I really don't feel any different after this episode. I still like the show overall, and I really do like the episode. And I put on my notes right here, I have it in the biggest writing, need to know more before I validate my opinion. So I really can't tell you what I think of it as the show as a whole until we get some more, because most people have already, like, WandaVision's the best show on television, but I can't tell you that yet. I just don't know how they're gonna execute this the rest of this, and I'm sure it's gonna be good. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be good. I just can't promise anything. If heck, it could fall flat on his face. But I'm gonna give this episode an 8.7 out of 10. Really did like it, and if you go back onto my other WandaVision reviews, you could see that I gave the other episodes similar scores, and I think I gave last week's episode the same score. But to put it, I have changed some scores to certain episodes a little bit. So I want to give you guys a quick recap. My score for episode 1 has lowered just to an 8.2. It was an 8.3. And episode 2 was an 8.5, I believe. I've raised that to a 9 because I love episode 2. I believe I gave episode 3 an 8.7, and I've recently raised that to a 9. And this episode I gave an 8.7. So I still feel the same about the show, and overall the show is, I know I'm really not I said I wasn't going to say my overall score for the show so far, but I'll say it anyways. My overall score for the show so far is an 8.8. I just, I'm sorry, my mom's making something downstairs, and you just heard a bunch of pots and pans, but, I'm really looking forward to, I like the ideas, I love the concepts. It's just a matter of now how the show executes it and how high quality the action will get, because I'm really looking forward to get some really good action, which the show is promising towards the end. So it just depends on how they execute that action. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it memorable? And I know the fighting stuff isn't really a big part of it, but you have to remember, this is a Marvel movie, so you have to take that so you have to take that into consideration. But yeah, to say it again, I gave this episode an 8.7 out of 10. I know I elaborated a lot. I just needed to explain my true feelings. So yeah. Anyways, like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that, and adios.